and welcome back to the Daily Wrap. You should be watching the show that you're not seeing. So let's read some of your viewer comments from today. First up, we have a comment from Mark, who says the callous way in which the Planned Parenthood workers talked about baby parts is shocking and appalling. Technology is making it harder and harder to hide the fact that life starts at conception. That's really at the root of all this, isn't it, Joe? You have people who feel very, very strongly on this topic. Obviously, the gentleman who wrote this comment does, and you can't discount that.
I would have been apathetic about this even a couple of years ago. And now my wife and I had a baby about 21 months ago. She's pregnant, 8 months in. You see the ultrasounds, you hear the heartbeat, and it changes your entire perspective. When I hear what I heard today on that tape, we want to save this part and we want to make sure this, it's like, no. Please don't go there, because it is appalling to me when even a couple of years ago, wouldn't have cared.
Right. It's fascinating, Heather. I mean, I have always been pro-choice, but anti-abortion. So I have nothing but sympathy for somebody who feels as this commenter does.
Right. It's interesting because I think it's going to come up with the Supreme Court. You know, more and more cases, a number of cases have gone to them that are going to be heard in the next session, which involve when is the fetus viable. You know, now that we have technology, it's going to be sooner and sooner, and that viewer may be right. It may be at the moment of conception.
He makes a great point, because with technology, that viability time does shorten in reality.
Correct. We're going to know more and more sooner and sooner. But rather than fight about the moment when conception equals life, some months in makes life, birth equals life, I have a different approach. Whenever you think it begins or doesn't begin, we should all be able to agree that a greater degree of sensitivity at every stage, from conception all the way through birth, everyone could practice. The writer is right about the callousness that we see on these videos, and that's disturbing.
The only thing I ask people is keep that sense of pro-life all the way through life. Next, we have a comment from Laura, who says Mike Huckabee's comments on Israel and Iran were spot on. The left needs to learn how to handle the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. Heather, you agree with?
Well, listen, I think that I do agree to a point, and I do think that there's sometimes a double standard. There are a number of people in history who have compared Republican presidents to Hitler and didn't see any problem with that. I think that there's an argument to be made that while Huckabee's exact words may have been inappropriate, the tone and the idea was correct.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, listen, if you object to the deal, I certainly understand that. But there's nothing to be gained by commenting in that way. And we seem to have gotten to this point in this campaign early on where it's not a race to the top. We're seeing a race to the very bottom of the pit. I hope it comes to an end. We deserve better.
I think we do. I think the fact that it could be a genocidal issue puts those terms in play. But more importantly, it is precisely the person who is in pain over the deal and backs it that I'm most interested in. Right. And precisely the person who opposes the deal but understands they haven't got a lot of alternatives that I want to hear from. The truth does hurt. It should hurt. And if you advocate for a truth that always feels good, you're not actually advocating for the truth. You're advocating for yourself and nothing more.
So here's one from Tom, who says Governor Huckabee is only saying what so many people think and feel. Our president sold us down the river. Hopefully Israel will survive and the United States will step up and honor their commitment to Israel. I'm going to start off by saying, well, I appreciate the sentiment that we see in this comment. The United States does not have an obligation to simply do whatever Israel asks us to do. Israel is a sovereign nation. They're entitled to do as they please. The United States is a sovereign nation. We're entitled to do as we think is fit. Hopefully the two, as strong allies, can act together and in a mutual interesting way. But comments like that trouble me, because we have a first commitment to ourselves.
Right. The job of the United States government is to do right by the citizens and residents of the United States. Right. It happens that there is almost no country in the world, and certainly no country in the Middle East, in which the interests of Americans are as well served as by working with Israel. Did the president sell us down the river? I don't know. I think everyone needs to be really, really cautious here. And that's what I wish would happen. I would love to see an administration that stop promising this means no bomb, no way, no how.
But it cuts both ways. In other words, you're right. I agree. You know, you have to have both sides of this willing to look at this in a measured, reasonable way and quit using political verbiage that, oh, the president sold us down the river, and the president saying, oh, no, I made the greatest deal for you since time began.
Neither position is going to help us.
Right. That's just it. Let's go to Jonathan, who says, I agree with the Daily Wrap on Huckabee's comments as well as Obama's response. The hyperbole and lack of nuance is profoundly disappointing in our politics, and it is precisely what I appreciate from Newsmax climax, and that is precisely what I appreciate in a commenter. He's got that right.
Well, he just repeated exactly what we just
I was
said,
gonna
right?
say, it's nice to be told you're right.
Is that our first ever positive
I think
comment?
that I was just thinking
Maybe.
that. I think that's true. That was our first ever positive comment.
This is
Who was that
huge.
from again? Was that
Jonathan.
God bless you, Jonathan. Last but not least, we have a comment from Richard who says, organized religion is a threat to the existence of humanity. Now I hear Mike Huckabee making a threatening statement about the Holocaust, nuclear weapons, and the destruction of Israel. If the world is destroyed, organized religion will be the cause. We only have like 10 seconds.
No
how you
problem.
can answer
I'll give
to
you
that
3
intent.
words. Communism, Maoism, and Pol Pot.
So you managed by
can
slowly saying those words to use
fill
up
the
all of
time.
our
Right,
time,
that's what
guys.
no
I have 3
religion
words.
gets
We got to
you.
go to break.
So remember, if we want to weigh in on any issues, we'll be right back.